More than 50 bodies found improperly stored and decomposing at South Chicago Chapel Funeral Home. Hello, world and universe. Welcome to the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth. And if you're new to the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. And for all my continued followers, I want to say thank you. And this is an opinion-based video channel where I try to open your eyes and ears up to some of the travails and tribulations that take place throughout our cities, our states, our country, and sometimes around the world. Well, I got one for you coming straight out of Chicago. But before I get into that, let me give you this prelude that right here in St. Louis, we have been on a 4 or 5 day heat wave where we're talking about temperatures in the mid 90s and a heat index of 105 to 107. So people, please be safe, stay indoors. If you get outside, work out early in the morning and stay hydrated. Be very careful of this heat wave, especially as we get older. And it's supposed to be here until Wednesday evening after 8 p.m. So I got to tell you this story about my beloved city outside of St. Louis. The other place I was raised at was Chicago, Illinois. And there is always something going on in Chicago. And I was raised on the south side, 101st and Prairie, back in the 70s. So this particular story kind of hits close to home in my particular area, the far south side. And this, unfortunately, has to deal with life and death and the relationship with a funeral home that did not respect the dead. So let's get into this story. So what happened? On Thursday, August 6, 2026, Chicago police responded to the Southside Chicago Chapel at 2939 East 95th Street, South Deering neighborhood, far south side. As I said, I was at 101st and Prairie. So they came to assist the Illinois Department of Finance and Professional Regulation. Remember that. There is another acronym and another alphabet group for the state and our government. Illinois Department of Finance and Professional Regulation. The acronym is IDFPR, Illinois Department of Finance and Professional Regulation. They came with a licensing investigation for this place, this chapel. Officers discovered when they got there that more than 50 decedents in various states of decomposition throughout the facility. And the decedents are the deceased bodies of these people. Sources say the bodies were found in closets. Listen to this. Think of this as if this is your loved one, your father, your mother, brother, sister, child, nephew, niece. Listen to how this facility dealt with these decedents, their bodies after they died, and the level of inhumanity that took place. So there were more than 50 decedents in various states of decomposition throughout the facility. Sources say the bodies were found in closets and an attached garage. They had the bodies in closets and attached garages. So I don't know if these individuals, this husband and wife, were they mentally ill? Did they have a breakdown? How do you treat these people or who have died, but their flesh and blood and body is still there? These were human beings, and you treat them like that, like trash. And so the Sun-Times put the count of how many decedents were there at 57 decomposing bodies. So when you talk about decomposition, you're talking about an odor, you're talking about the presence of possible disease passing, you're talking about rodents and all kinds of things that are going to come into that facility if you have these decomposing bodies taking place. So the conditions. State records show the funeral director had been keeping multiple decedents in an unrefrigerated area with rodent infestation of the bodies. The Chicago Fire Department responded and declared it a hazardous materials incident. Neighbors said a foul smell had hung in the air since winter. Over 50 bodies, 57 bodies in an unrefrigerated area with rodent infestation. These two people need to be not only sent to jail, but be buried under the jail. So who's responsible? Who caused this action? Funeral director and embalmer Johanna Morgan had her license temporarily suspended after IDFPR, remember that's the Illinois Department of Finance and Professional Regulation, determined the business posed a danger to public safety. Yes, now if they're a danger to the deceased, they probably are a danger to the living. Notably, Morgan and her husband, Clark Morgan, previously operated, this is not the first time they got in trouble, they previously operated Heights Crematory in Chicago Heights, which Illinois' comptroller, Illinois State Comptroller, permanently shut that place down last year after investigations found several improperly stored bodies and hundreds of cremated remains that had never been returned to families. This has been going on. This is a second company that they committed these violations, and the state has had enough. This is a very unfortunate circumstance, and I had to bring it to you all's attention. We have to keep our head on a swivel. We have to pay attention, even when you're making funeral arrangements. You have somebody that dies, that's always a shock. And it's hard to deal with. And then you have to make arrangements to have a funeral and a burial. There's a process involved. And you want that process to be as professional, as comfortable as possible. And these two bozo brains, this husband and his wife, the level of inhumanity in this story is at an all-time premium. We have enough problems in today's time where we have human beings walking this earth that show great ill will and inhumanity towards one another and towards the living, and you have these two people that are showing that kind of level of inhumanity and godlessness to the dead. So official reaction to the Illinois Comptroller Susan Mendoza called the discovery heartbreaking and an abomination. Just think if this is one of your loved ones. It is heartbreaking and an abomination. Saying these are people, that's what I'm saying, someone's mother, father, sister, brother, child, or friend, and they deserve better. So the aftermath, the medical examiner's office worked through the night, removing bodies, with identification expected to take several days. Families who'd used the home services, including one woman searching for her sister and another who waited nearly 20 days for her father's remains. Think of that, a sister and a father remains from the first place, the Heights Crematory case, are now questioning whether they even received the correct remains. At least 30 lawsuits tied to the earlier crematory scandal are still pending. So the lawyers are licking their chops. When I do a lot of these stories, there's a legal component to it all the time. Being a lawyer in today's time seems like a very lucrative and healthy profession. These families are even questioning if they even got the correct remains of their family members. I did a previous story a long time ago, 6 months, a year ago, about this same kind of stuff going on in Alabama. So if you get a chance to go back through my videos, there was some situations with crematories and organ harvesting and people getting the wrong remains of their loved ones that had died in Alabama penitentiaries. So some of this stuff has been going on for a while. So the level of inhumanity people have today for the living, in this story, you're seeing that same level of inhumanity that in death, we still have people that won't do the right thing by the living or the deceased. So you have a certain level of inhumanity that people commit crimes, assaults, gun violence. There's no conflict mediation, no conflict resolution. You can't think through your problems. So you have human beings that are causing destruction to other human beings that are living. And then you have this situation with these people in the funeral home business that's supposed to be a medium for between the living and the decedent that died. That funeral home director, they're supposed to be the person in the middle that is supposed to bring that living and that death together in a harmonious way to let that person march his way to the next life that had died. And this particular situation, these people had either they're mentally ill or they had no consciousness for the level of respect of a human being. So this is a sad and very unfortunate case. Even in death, in this particular situation, these people could not find peace. And in conclusion, I want to give you a verse right out of Psalm 127. Unless the Lord builds the house, a song of accents of Solomon. Unless the Lord builds the house, those who build it labor in vain. Unless the Lord watches over the city, the watchman stays awake in vain. It is in vain that you rise up early and go late to rest, eating the bread of anxious toil, for he gives to his beloved sleep. Behold, children are a heritage from the Lord, the fruit of the womb a reward. Like arrows in the hand of a warrior are the children of one's youth. Blessed is the man who fills his quiver with them. He shall not be put to shame when he speaks with his enemies and at the gate. Tell me what you think of this story. This has been the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth in a positive, righteous, and God-conscious way.